I love my family, all of the members. Yes, even you, Uncle Dave. But you don't necessarily have to love your family to play games with them. You just need to love board games and, well, fun. So because fun is essential to family time, I wanted to put together a list of what I think are the most fun games for families to play. There's something on this list for every family, from close to extended. Want to make your family closer? Give these 10 games a try. Kicking off the list at number 10 is a little-known game that came out a few years ago that I think didn't get the attention it deserved. Arcane Academy is based on a comic series called Finding Gossamer, which is set in a fantasy world in which math is the language of magic. Don't worry though, no math in Arcane Academy. In the game, players are students competing to become the best in class. There's a neat tile linking aspect to the game that lets you create satisfying chain reactions when certain tiles are activated. You'll create magical items and use elemental energies to one-up your opponents. It's easy to learn, plays in under an hour, and has a fun magical theme. It's a truly clever game that I think is worth your attention. Before families fell in love with the Greatest Showman movie starring Hugh Jackman as P.T. Barnum, Meeple Circus showed up and gave players the chance to run their own circuses. Players will use meeples and other wooden pieces to create circus acts by stacking animals, boards, acrobats, and balls on top of each other. Points are awarded based on which pieces are used and how high the formations are. As if stacking wasn't challenging enough, you only have a small amount of time to rehearse and perform your acts. A companion app with circus music acts as the timer, adding some nice ambiance to the game. Colt Express throws players on a 3D cardboard train in the Wild West. Taking on the roles of the bandits, you and your family will run around the train, grab loot, avoid the marshal, punch, and shoot each other, if you can actually execute your plans. Colt Express is an action programming game with the goal of becoming the richest bandit in the West. You'll lay down your action cards face down, and sometimes face up, into a stack one at a time, and in turn order. Chaos ensues when the cards are resolved. You may end up reaching down to grab loot that isn't there, or running into the marshal. Did you want to punch your mom, but instead end up punching the air? You don't always know what's going to happen when those cards are flipped over, which makes for an exciting, unpredictable, and hilarious gaming experience. The next game has a title that is also a popular Christmas song. Silver and gold, everyone wishes for silver and gold. Well, the game has nothing to do with Christmas. It's quite the opposite, actually. In Silver and Gold, players compete to explore distant islands to find gold treasures. Surprisingly, not silver. This is a flip and write style game where each round a card is flipped and everyone will try to fill up their cards with the shape drawn in order to mark off squares. Squares contain gold and bonuses, so you'll have to use some clever placement to efficiently fill up your cards. It's a fun game where everyone is involved every turn. It's great for people who get easily distracted. It's simple and quick, simple and quick. You need a game that's simple and quick. Flashpoint Fire Rescue is technically the oldest game on this list, and the fact that it's actually on the list says a lot about its effectiveness as a family game. It's a traditional co-op in the sense that players work together, each using a special ability and a number of action points to beat the game. As a family of firefighters, you're trying to hold back the flames of a burning building to allow enough time to rescue people and pets before they're lost, or before the structure collapses. There are some pretty intense and thematic moments as explosions and flare-ups occur, and though sometimes you'll fail to save some victims, your family is sure to bond over the moments of heroism and successful rescues. Do you have someone in your family that can't put down their phone because they're obsessed with the newest Match 3 game? Then take it out of their hands and drop it into a cauldron of boiling ogre mucus, and then invite them to a game of Potion Explosion. Featuring a nifty marble dispenser, players take turns picking colored ingredients, marbles, to complete potion recipes. It's the marble dispenser that makes the game a winner though. With a little help from gravity, players can pick just the right marble to cause at least 3 marbles of the same color to clack together, causing an explosion. This means they're able to take all the marbles of that color. You're even more awesome if you can cause multiple chain reactions from just one marble pull. Once your potions are complete, you can drink them to use their special abilities. There's so much to love in Potion Explosion, especially the kooky professor. Several expansions have been released for the game, including one that expands the game from 4 to 6 players, making it possible for a larger family to enjoy the game. The original Fireball Island had such an impact on households in the 1980s that fans voted overwhelmingly for it to be brought back by Restoration Games in 2018. In Fireball Island, The Curse of Volcar, players control the dumbest tourists ever, They volunteer to run around an active volcano filled with snakes, bees, tigers, and giant boulders to snag treasures and take pictures. Plan on your characters being smacked in the face with burning fireballs and knocked off bridges and ladders. But you won't stay down for long. It's oh so satisfying to knock down your brother or sister with a perfectly aimed marble flick. For maximum fun, it's best to focus on creating hilarious mayhem instead of taking a more strategic approach. If you've got a son or daughter that tries to push their luck to get away with as much as possible before getting caught, this next one is probably a good option. Megaland is a video game world in which players try to run a level and collect treasures without losing lives to treacherous monsters and bunnies. The characters begin on a save tile, and then turn by turn, a new level card is revealed. These cards may contain treasures, monsters, or nothing at all. You'll have to decide before each card is flipped whether to keep running to collect more treasure or return home with what you've collected so far. You have a limited amount of health, and if you run into too many monsters, you'll have to return home empty-handed. Megaland is a fun, colorful, and simple game that can be won by risky or safe players depending on the strategy. The theme also makes it relatable to video gamers who are reluctant to join the table. It is completely by luck that this next game is also a push your luck game. The Quacks of Quedlenberg is relatively new to me, but has quickly shot up on my list of favorites. In the game, players are quack doctors doing what quack doctors do best, throwing together a bunch of junk to make cures for ailments. To do this, players will add ingredients one at a time to their pot. But watch out for those cherry bombs, because if you add too many, your pot will explode! During each round, players simultaneously draw ingredients chips and add them to their pot. You want to keep adding to your pot because you'll earn more and more points and coins. But if your pot explodes, your rewards are not as great as if you had stopped drawing before exploding. It offers many opportunities to egg on your opponents and try to get them to push their luck, which may end up actually working in their favor. It's another one that's easy to learn and has a wide appeal as evidenced by the multiple rewards it's won. And number 1, Downforce. Downforce, another successful remake from Restoration Games, is one of the best racing games by far. What sets Downforce apart from most racing games is the bidding element. The race starts with players buying the cars they think will perform best, and during the race, cards are played to move vehicles around a cleverly designed course. Bottlenecks are often created that can be frustrating for your opponents, but hilariously helpful for you. At various points during the race, you'll place bets on the car most likely to win the race. And while players want their cars to win the race, sometimes it's more beneficial for their opponent's cars to win. You may end up helping the car you previously cursed race across the finish line because you'll end up with more money that way. Every single time I've taught Downforce to a new group, people have a blast and want to play again. And since it can be played up to 6 players, Downforce is one of the few games of substance that can accommodate larger families. 4 additional racetracks have been released since the game was published, giving you plenty of options to choose from. One of my favorites features ramps. Vroom vroom! And that's my 10. Now there is one game I want to give an honorable mention to, and that's Escape Curse of the Temple. Now this game is super fun. It's a real-time cooperative game where you're working in this temple, revealing tiles, trying to make your way through before the time runs out, essentially. Trying to find treasure, jewels, various things inside this temple. But the reason I didn't include it is just because for some people it might be super stressful. Now with that timer running around, trying to get to certain points before the timer runs out, for some people that might just be too much stress. So I didn't include it, but check it out if it sounds interesting to you. Well, you're welcome for this excellent list of games to play together, whether you're stuck in quarantine together or actually choose to spend quality time with one another. What are some of your favorite family games? Let me know in the comments below. Be sure to like this video, and if you're watching on YouTube, I'd certainly appreciate it if you subscribe to the channel. Until next time, don't take the board game hobby too seriously. Like grounding your children because they beat you fair and square. You just need to lighten up.